Hey there, Harp family. I hope you had a lovely week thus far, and hopefully you also got a moment to go check out the latest post on the Harp website blog. And so you can find that at www.harpnow.org and click on the blog page, and voila. And also, if you have social media platforms, don't forget to stay connected with us at harpnow.org. Awesome. And so this week's topic was domestic abuse, a victim's dilemma. Now, this covers the all too familiar story of what happens when domestic abuse victims try to leave their toxic environment, right? And that's scary. It's scary because often we hear people ask, well, why didn't they just leave? Why, what took them so long? Why do they keep going back? It's more complicated than really, we know. If you haven't been in it, it's very difficult to understand the complexities of what goes on in the tough decisions that one may have to make, in their planning to leave. And so I'll leave it at that. But all too often, abusers tend to have this mentality that their victims do not have the right to leave. And if they try to leave them, they will do whatever it takes to make sure that, if I can't have you, nobody else will. And even if that means, killing somebody. It's sad, but it's true. That's the reality a lot of women are living with, especially women with children who are still minors. It's a scary environment to live in. And so abusers tend to be very manipulative, because their public persona tends to be very different than who they are when they're in private, right? It's like they're Jekyll and Hyde, one person on the outside to everybody else, and, a devil in the house. And so, this is why we hear these news stories where somebody, commits this heinous crime, typically towards a woman, and, folks are like, oh my God, when a news person goes to interview the close circle people, the friends, family, neighbors, church, friends, they're like, tell us about this person. And they're like, oh my God, he was the nicest person ever. I could not imagine that he would ever do such a thing, or she would ever do such a thing. And but that is part of the story of the public versus private persona. And obviously at that point, they're like, well, it just must have been like a freak accident, or, just temporary mental health issues or something. And the reality is these abusers, this has been a pattern for them for quite a while. This is not, a surprise. This is just the next step, in progression of what they were going to do. And so it is important that we normalize publicly sharing these experiences, to be able to, share it with those in our close circle. If the outcome is going to affect other people, it's no longer a family matter. And so you want to make sure that, we create safe spaces, we create environments that are conducive for domestic violence and domestic abuse victims to speak openly and to find the help that they need. And there's a ton of resources. Oh yeah, be sure to check that out on the resource page at harpnow.org. So yeah, resource tab, click it. And statistics show that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men have experienced severe intimate partner physical violence. Along with that, when it comes to stalking, which tends to go hand in hand with abusive partners, stalking statistics show that over 60% of women and over 40% of men have experienced being stalked by either their current or previous partner. Now, I don't know about you, but that's scary. That is scary, And man, and think about it, then you throw kids in the mix, as I mentioned before. If you throw kids into the mix of it, especially if they're still minors, it just gets extra messy. The reality is that domestic abuse complicates the family court system process, right? Because ideally it is created to work in most optimal conditions when both parents are there for the well-being of the children and prioritize that. The system ideally works well. Now, if you throw in domestic abuse into it, co-parenting becomes practically impossible. Courts then might appoint a mental health professional to help mediate both parties, but quite honestly, this is just a band-aid on a broken leg situation. This is not a long-term solution. It's not an effective solution to this issue. And so although it's a great revenue source for court professionals and those involved in the process, it's a disaster for both the abuse victim and the children involved. And so if you'd like to read more on this, I have included the link to the full-length article that was originally published by the stopabusecampaign.org. They have the full long story. Be sure to check them out. That's embedded in the post on the Harp Now website. And as always, if you witness something or if you experience harassment or abuse yourself, be sure to document it, report it, and whenever possible, harp it, either using the harp it buttons right on the website or social media platforms, #HarpItNow, okay? It is so important. It's so important to get statistics that reflect what's going on out there, and because how can we fix what we don't fully acknowledge? So that's important. That's also important. So also, if you would like, you can go ahead and complete the climate surveys on the harpnow.org website, and just go ahead and click either the harassment and assault surveys or the police brutality surveys. We'd really appreciate that. And so if you'd like to stay updated on this topic and future posts, like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz at harpnow.org. So that's Twitter, Facebook, IG, harpnow.org. All right. Until next time, take care of yourself, be safe, be well, be healthy, and remember to share your privilege whenever possible, because somebody's life just might depend on it. All right. Okay, we'll catch you on the next post. Ciao, guys.